Welcome back to another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast, another live episode for the second straight day, back to back nights. We are live and ready to talk all things Roki Sasaki. I am joined tonight again by my co host, Jacob Brownson, and we've got a lot to get into tonight. It's a prelude to a very exciting 24 hours and the rest of the week here. As I'm going to say, it's been dubbed as the Sasaki week, as he is set to officially go into his signing window tomorrow. But we've heard a lot of rumors, we've got a lot of updates, and we're going to get into all that and more. But before we do that, we're going to thank our sponsor, BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball to the NHL and the UFC, BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. And Jacob, I think the best way to get started with tonight's episode is kind of kicking off where we left off last night, which is a lot of fans were wondering, a lot of Dodger fans were asking themselves, well, when is the next meeting going to happen with Los Angeles? They've been confirmed as a finalist. We don't know when the second meeting is going to take place. Got a lot more clarity on that today, did we not?
Absolutely, we did. Roki Sasaki met with the Dodgers today in Los Angeles. No details of that meeting have been released up to this point. But them getting that third meeting or second meeting, the third out of all three teams, is definitely a positive sign for the Dodgers. You always want to have the last meeting, and in this case, they do. And I like what that means for the Dodgers.
I mean, you hit it on the head last night where we said, the team that has the last meeting usually has the best chances, I guess, to sign the guy because, it seems like over the past couple days, the three finalists between the Blue Jays, the Padres, and the Dodgers, it seems like he has made his rounds visiting city to city and kind of I would say is in the final part of his free agent saga here. And I believe he's probably about to make a decision. I would hope within the next 24 to 48 hours. That'll be the dream scenario for everybody that's watching these sweepstakes. But, you want to be the team that makes the lasting impression. And the big thing that's different about this meeting compared to whatever other meetings they've had in the past is that, Ken Rosenthal and Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic, they made it known that the stars will be in attendance today. And we couldn't confirm necessarily names, but I have to imagine, the big dogs were there to present whatever they needed to show to Sasaki, whatever he's not already currently sold on with the franchise. I mean, by all accounts, it was a Dodger fan, grew up closely watching the Dodgers. He's idolized a lot of these Japanese players that have came over to the States. I know we've heard about the Yu Darvish friendship and all that stuff and how he's kind of taken him under his wing, especially when they're on Team Japan. But, when you get thrown in a room with Shohei Ohtani, I imagine that's probably hard to turn down a situation like that. But then it doesn't end there. You get Yamamoto coming out of one door. You got Mookie Betts, World Series MVP Freddie Freeman. Maybe he's in attendance as well. I mean, the list can go on and on because the Dodgers are just filled with all-stars right now, MVPs. It could be overwhelming to some people, but I feel like the Dodgers pitch the ball's in their court and the favor is really into their hands right now just because of the amount of star talent they have on the team. And having them be in there to make this pitch, I feel like it has to make you a little more confident, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You've heard about Sasaki's relationship with Darvish. Darvish, everyone's touched on that, and you should know by now that he's also close with Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani. Um, I absolutely think those two guys increase their odds. With that said, Roki Sasaki, if he chooses to be a Dodger, isn't choosing to be a Dodger because of Yoshinobu Yamamoto or Shohei Ohtani. He's doing it because of all the other reasons we've talked about over time. There is plenty of reason for Sasaki to want to be a Dodger. But absolutely it helps to have Otani and Yamamoto there, among other superstars that Sasaki's watched play baseball as he's developed as a player.
The one thing I want to know about this entire meeting is that we'll bring it up again. We brought it up yesterday. I mean, there's a lot of videos of Sasaki in Padres gear at Petco Park. If you aren't believing that it's him there working out, I mean, there's a lot of different angles of videos that have came up today. I just sent Jacob I sent you one off air. You can clearly see like the body type, the face. I mean, everything looked accurate. It was him, guys. He was definitely there yesterday or the day before that, working out, throwing in front of the Padres, front office, their players that were there in attendance as well as part of their last, pitch to the star. Um, when you see those videos, it's like, well, where are the Dodgers doing all this at? Because if you are living under a rock, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on in Los Angeles right now. There's a lot of stuff going on at Dodger Stadium right now where even the players themselves, they can't take advantage of the facilities. They can't take advantage of the field because currently, I don't know if Sasaki's going to get, put a hard hat on and get onto like, a bulldozer or something and help, finish this, process that they're renovating at Dodger Stadium. It's crazy to see where they're doing these meetings at, because I made the thing where it's like, all right, they're probably doing it behind closed door. Like, are they doing it in Arizona? Are they in Los Angeles? Are they somewhere at a hotel? Like, where are they making this pitch to him? Because clearly he didn't have to throw in front of him or do anything like that. And we're not going to get any pictures like that. And that's what I think is the big thing that you've tweeted out, that I tweeted out, is that the Dodgers typically don't let stuff leak. And it's not about saying they don't let information get out per se, but they definitely don't let pictures or anything like whatever's happening in San Diego right now. I imagine the teams and the players that are involved do like the privacy when they're making the decisions. Do you think that's kind of what you were talking about earlier and yesterday, that a lot of Padre fans seem to take some heat with?
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are very aware of their surroundings when they're having these meetings with players. You don't see pictures typically of someone in a stadium, any videos like that. They're just not going to allow that to happen. When Shohei Otani came to Los Angeles last year, they cleared out the entire stadium, didn't let pretty much anyone be there. It's something that they're very urgent about. It is interesting with the fires and everything going on in Los Angeles where they're going to meet. I've seen some speculation about the timing of the whole thing and if the Dodgers are the last team because of everything that's been going down. I can say I believe personally that it is an intentional effort that the Dodgers are the last team to have a conversation with Sasaki. I'm not saying that's something I've heard. I'm not saying that's fact. My personal belief is that there is a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense logically. I think it was reported a couple weeks back that Sasaki was staying in Southern California while he makes his rounds with his, his agent, with his team, his representatives, meeting these other organizations. At the center point, he's been in California. These second trips and these second meetings is where we've actually seen reports of him physically going to those cities, whether it's Toronto to meet the Blue Jays, whether it's San Diego to meet the Padres, and then now in Los Angeles to meet the Dodgers. Clearly, it's been known that these are the three finalists now. That's the news that broke yesterday. Today, the big news is that he's meeting the Dodgers right now. I mean, I imagine it seems like it's coming to the final 24 to 48 hours, like I mentioned earlier in the show, where it's like, I know John Morosi, mentioned that possibly by the weekend. I think it's going to happen way sooner than that. I made the joke on X today where I'm probably going to go to bed and I'm going to wake up and that he either signed with the Dodgers or the Padres, because I really do think it is a coin flip right now, because you can point out the positives and negatives with both sides of wherever he wants to sign. Are you under the assumption that this is getting announced as soon as he can sign?
I have a hard time believing that this will take any more than 72 hours, and 72 is a very it's an overshoot. I don't think it'll take 72 hours either. But I think details are going to start to come out. You didn't hear anything from the Dodgers side before. Things are kind of starting to be talked about a little bit, which usually means that things are happening. Not to say that it's a pro Dodgers decision, but a decision is imminent, I think. I think pretty much anyone would say that at this point. We're we're not looking at probably a week from now not knowing yet where Sasaki is. And I also saw a report earlier today that he is trying to make his decision quickly. That way, it would not impact other people as much, those other international amateurs involved in the process. Because, I mean, we've seen the fall off with it. The Sasaki sweepstakes is changing other people's lives with those international amateurs that had verbal agreements that now may not be able to be fulfilled.
We've talked a lot about, Sasaki and what potentially he wants. Say you're Sasaki, what do you want to hear from the Dodgers in these meetings? Like clearly they'll hit him with, we have the star talent, we have the power, we have the players, we just won the World Series without you. Imagine if we add you. What do you think the Dodgers can realistically offer Sasaki that no other team can offer him right now? That'll probably change his mind.
I think they are going to pitcher development. Obviously, anyone's gonna put pitching development out there, but they are already set up in a position where Roki Sasaki can slot in and go with the plan for this year. The Dodgers have managed pitching injuries. They've had to manage workloads. And that's something I think the Dodgers probably brought up themselves. I guarantee Sasaki had a question about the injury history with the Dodgers. I mean, how could you not? The last couple years, it's been a concerning amount of pitching injuries, and I think that definitely got brought up. But the situation that the Dodgers have right now is better than with the Padres or Blue Jays. The way that they can slot in a Japanese pitcher into this rotation and their plan, we've already seen it. Last year when Yamamoto started, they made it a full week of rest by calling someone up to make a spot start or using days off, such like that. The Dodgers have experience with that the Padres and Blue Jays just don't have. The Dodgers have been navigating that for a year now. So that gives them an extreme advantage in that they can say, we've dealt with this, and those other teams haven't. We know what we need to do.
We got people in the chat saying there's more and more videos coming out of Sasaki in the Padres gear. So clearly, yes, that meeting happened. We're gonna see more and more videos. I'm still curious to why there was an exodus of deleted videos. Yesterday, I guess someone posted it on Reddit, didn't really want it out there. I mean, that's the internet; it's out there forever. Now we're getting it exponential more videos that are circulating the internet right now. I imagine maybe we'll see maybe with Toronto being in a dome, I guess you're able to like kind of keep more things closed doors that way. And then the Dodgers, usually nothing ever comes out in terms of photos. I think the last time I could even remember anything remotely being leaked is, Yamamoto's, Photoshop image on the scoreboard last year. That's about it. That's about as much as the Dodgers will ever leak, in my opinion. So, you know, this meeting today with the Dodgers, going on to the question I asked, I agree with you. I think the Dodgers can offer him a lot. I think the big thing they can offer him is flexibility, comfortability, being able to just slot into a six-man rotation. Not every team in the league can say that. There are some teams that are extremely pitching heavy, especially in the National League. I mean, if you look at a team like, the Atlanta Braves, they have some arms. The Philadelphia Phillies, they have arms. The Dodgers, they have a plethora of arms, and they definitely want to incorporate some variety of a six-man rotation. I think a lot of them are open to the idea because of their injury history and because of, I would say, the plan or the long haul goal, which is to win a World Series. A lot of these guys may sacrifice a start or two just to make sure that they're healthy enough once October rolls around. I'm pretty sure Tyler Glass now would definitely be sold on it. Blake Snell, he's kind of been up and down in terms of innings pitched counts throughout his career. He'd probably be open to it. And then even a guy like Sasaki, I mean, his career high in the MPB and innings pitch was around 120 or so, which really isn't going to get it done in the major league level if you're going to be a dependable arm. He goes to the Padres. I mean, you have to think he's going to be thrown kind of in the fire to like, hey, give me some results right now because, you know, Joe Musgrove's out for the entire year. Michael King looks really good, but you don't know if he's going to replicate that success again in his final year there. Dylan Cease is still technically on the chopping block. Who's to say they sign Sasaki and then they just trade Dylan Cease because they feel like he's expendable? If he joins the Dodgers, I wouldn't say he's necessarily an afterthought, but he wouldn't needed to be the guy. And I
He's
think for someone like him that we've heard about, I think that would be beneficial to him.
And the Dodgers can offer much more stability than the Blue Jays can. That's just a fact. With everything going on with the Padres right now, there's not much stable in that situation besides the long-term contracts they have. Pretty much everyone else has kind of been shopped around per other people's reports. Not everyone. You have Arise, you have Suarez. There's been talks about Cease. I think they're going to listen on just about anyone. I don't see how that is appealing for a guy like Sasaki, because there's no standard of success there, um, and it doesn't look like a standard of success is going to be established anytime soon.
Yeah, and then the whole other side of this yesterday, Bob Nightingale had the tweet that me and you like to laugh at yesterday, where he was saying the Padres are cautiously optimistic that they like their chances in landing Sasaki. Well, I mean, you can even make the argument that all three of these teams are cautiously optimistic. Even multiple Dodgers beat writers, shared that sentiment today. Ardaya alluded to it. Jack Harris of the LA Times, he pretty much stated that the Dodgers and everybody within their organization, the camp, whether it's the front office, scouts, or whatever, people that are in the know, they're pretty confident right now. I know you have some sources, scattered around the country in terms of the Dodgers. You sound really confident about, where the Dodgers stand right now. Are you still feeling that confidence right now, especially as the hours start to go on and we're almost here to when he can finally sign with the team?
Uh, yes, I'm not saying there's anything done or necessarily that anything is close. But given kind of what I've heard, and some things that have been talked about, I really like the Dodgers' chances. Now it's a fluid situation. Anything can change. There can be some perk brought up by the Padres that the Dodgers just don't know about, or things can change quickly. But at this present moment, at 9:04 Central on January 14th, I feel very good about the chances of Sasaki ending up in a Dodgers uniform.
I mean, I don't think it's a bold statement, what you put out or what, anybody's really put out regarding the Dodgers or the Padres. And hell, even the Blue Jays fans that are out there that are holding out hope that he will inevitably choose them. Because once you're chosen as the final three finalists, it could really go any way, and I feel like it's been the same argument for almost 12 months now, ever since Sasaki's name got, mentioned, where there was the possibility that he could get posted this year, especially the way he did get posted, where now he's classified as an amateur free agent, where he can sign with the international pool money. You know, it was always down to the Dodgers and the Padres. And it seemed like I don't know if the media wanted it to go one way or the other, or if there was fans around baseball that, they don't want the Dodgers to be involved in some type of sweepstakes like this. The Padres fans and the Padres team, they're kind of hated, not just by Dodger fans, they're hated by a couple other, teams around the league as well. I don't know if they wanted Sasaki or other Japanese players to kind of not have bias towards the West Coast, but at the end of the day, what was predicted almost a year ago is what ended up coming true right now, because I would like to say the Blue Jays really do have a shot, but if you listen to Ken Rosenthal on Foul Territory today, he pretty much looks at them as like an afterthought, and that's kind of the way I'm looking at them right now as well. You look at how they've swung and missed at so many free agents so far this offseason, last offseason, and the year before that. Clearly, they're invested in it, and I'll give them credit to try to get these players to come play for them. But not many people want to play for Canada, and they don't want to go up there, and it goes back to the comfort level. Sasaki may just want to stay on the West Coast, and that was his intention all along. And the two best teams right now are the Padres and the Dodgers on that front. So I'm not surprised that it's down to these two teams. I mean, we talked about this last night, and I think my gut still tells me the Dodgers. My fandom and my heart still tells me the Dodgers. But I like I said earlier, is I could still see a side why he picks the Padres. But everything I've heard, everything you've heard, kind of everything I felt and assumed, seems like it's leaning the Dodgers' way. And I feel really good because we brought it back. I think he did the meetings by design the way they ended. I think him going to LA to meet the Dodgers and their team last, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a reason the Dodgers are last. Um, I think the Dodgers are confident. I'll say that much. N- Not from like an upper level organizational standpoint. I can't speak on that, but from what I've heard, I think, and again, everyone's confident. They've all made it to this point. The Dodgers are confident. Jack Harris has reported that this isn't anything new. But I tend to agree based off what I'm hearing that the Dodgers are confident in their pursuit and like their chances as much as anyone else's.
And then it's also a case where it's like, all right, come on, guys, just connect the dots. Like just before we even started this live today, the Dodgers lost another top international prospect to sign with another team who has a lot of money in the pool. You know, with the White Sox, the Pirates, or those bottom dweller teams that have a lot of international pool money. They're happy right now because the fact that the Dodgers and the Padres, who are usually still always active in the international market, now all those players that they had agreed, contract terms or handshake agreements with for this signing period, they're either waiting for 2026 or they're just exploring opportunities elsewhere. Then the Dodgers continuously having multiple reports come out of them losing these international players, that also just tells me like, hey, they're like dead set on putting all of their, the chips in to get Sasaki right now. And I feel like we have heard it with the Padres, but it feels like it may have been slowing down a little bit. And to see, more and more dominoes fall here, it's like, all right, seems like the writing's kind of on the wall right now. They didn't go after Walker Bueller heavy, Jack Flaherty is a guy we mentioned yesterday who could be an option. I feel like if the Dodgers thought their chances to get Sasaki were pretty much, over with, and he was going to go to San Diego, probably would see Jack Flaherty being rumored to come back to LA. I feel like it's either they get Sasaki or they invest that money into another starting pitcher that they're familiar with already. I mean, you look at all these reports out there that, like, personally, not even thinking about people we've talked to or people in the know, that's what gets me confident. I assume that's what probably gets you confident as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If I was looking at this from an outside standpoint, hadn't heard anything about anything, and I was just reading the news that was out there, that would absolutely make me more confident in the Dodgers' chances. With that said, that's not the end all be all. It could happen with the Padres too. But I would watch closely the next 24 hours or so to see if those Padres guys are going elsewhere or if any reports come out about the Padres communication with those guys. I think that could be the first indicator before a deal's even announced. If you see a Francis Romero report or something like that about the Padres being back in communication with anyone or signing any of those guys, that could be an indicator.
And then we have, I just feel like the creativity in all of this is also getting explored as well. I mean, we had the report earlier from someone I believe on Fangraphs kind of name drop. Maybe the Dodgers are looking to trade one of their top prospects for some, extensive amount of international pool money. I mean, the name that was mentioned was DePaula for $3 million in international pool money. If you see the Dodgers start going down that route, doesn't have to be Paula DePaula per se, but it could be somebody else or a combination of others. I mean, this is something that we've been talking about for weeks now. Once Cartaya was DFA, we were like, all right, are they going to trade for some international pool money? Oh well, it's not going to line up. It'll because the 2025 period opens tomorrow. But it was definitely an idea that I was considering, you were considering, and other people were considering as well, because at the end of the day, the Dodgers are tied with the lowest amount of money that they were able to use in this upcoming international pool period, which is like around $5.5 million, tied with the Giants at the bottom. So if they can get more, awesome. I don't think the money's the end all be all. That's been numerously stated throughout multiple media outlets in terms of Sasaki. But I mean, if you start seeing the Dodgers start swinging some deals right now, to try to be creative here, I mean, is that like an avenue that you could see them going down? Is that something that would be definitely an indicator that they're like, all right, things are serious. They're just trying to iron out the final deals of the contract, get as much pool money as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Roki Sasaki is available, and he would be a higher ranked prospect than anyone that they would possibly trade. Um, but I don't see them giving up Zaire Hope with his progress right now. I I'm not saying it's likely. I really don't know. That report kind of caught me way off guard, but it's an avenue that the Dodgers can explore. One thing with that is that they can trade for 60% up to what their cap space is right now in that pool. So they can get about $3 million in a trade. And it has to come in $250,000 increments, meaning that it could only be a number like 1.25 million, 2.75 million, something like that. There was a lot going around about that today. I misunderstood it at first, but that's the way it is. They can trade for $3 million in international free agency for the pool. I think it's very much a possibility. And I think if you see something like that happen, that is almost it's a guarantee that Sasaki's a Dodger. I think at that point he would have committed to the team and said, "When you show me this number, I'll put pen to paper."
Yeah, and I mean, like, you look at that, the Dodgers have prospects to get rid of if they really want to. I mean, I always say, trophies over prospects. Obviously, as a fan, especially someone that covers, all levels of the Dodgers from single A all the way to the, triple A MLB club and all that stuff. You want to see some of these guys develop and spread their wings with your team. I mean, there was a lot of things to like about those, 2018, 19, and 20 Dodger teams. That's just because there was so much homegrown talent there with, Bellinger, Bueller, Seager, Jock Peterson. The list goes on, especially with the pitching side of things. But the Dodgers do have some expendable guys that if they really want to say, hey, it's not every day that Sasaki comes around, a guy of his caliber on this type of contract, like you mentioned, instantly becomes the number one prospect in baseball. I think Ben Balder he mentioned that in their rankings, like as soon as he gets slotted into, the minor league system and with the MLB roster, he would instantly be like that team's number one, prospect. And he's major league ready. He would be inserted into the rotation right away. And if say he does win, say any awards like, rookie of the year, Dodgers get some extra compensation with that as well. So a lot of factors going into this right now. The one thing with Sasaki, though, that a lot of people have brought up is the Dodgers kind of being that crystal ball. Like it's been that diamond that he's been staring at for years right now. I know you used the words first choice, and that's what a lot of other, people have used as well, where it seems like him growing up, his dream to come to the United States and play in Major League Baseball, he's always had his eyes on the Dodgers. And that was something that I brought up yesterday with that news report in Japan, where he basically said, at the end of the day, it's still the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the dream. That's the end goal. Is that kind of what you have been hearing? That because it seems like multiple people are hearing that as well. It's the Dodgers were pretty much the end goal all along.
Yeah, I've heard from and confirmed with multiple people that I trust very well that the Dodgers have been told by Sasaki's camp that they are his ideal choice or his top choice for where he would like to go. Um, that doesn't mean anything is signed. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to get done. Sometimes things change. There's fluidity everywhere. You never know. But I can say with 100% confidence in what I have said that that is the case. The Dodgers have been told that. There's a lot going out there. There's a lot of things being talked about. I've had lots of conversations. I'm not going to report anything unless I'm 100% sure of what it is I'm saying. And out of everything that I've heard, that's the thing that I am super confident in, 100% sure of, is that the Dodgers have been told that they are Sasaki's top choice. The exact meaning of that, I'm not quite sure. I don't know when exactly in the process it happened either. But the exact words that were used were top choice
I
from
mean,
my
the way I would read it is like, my top choice is that job that's offering, six figures. Are they going to offer it to me? I'm not sure. Are they interested? Yes, but can we make the deal work? I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of these players have teams that they want to go to, but some factors just don't align and they end up going to another team. And that could be the case here with Sasaki. Maybe he does want to come to the Dodgers, but maybe he does want to maximize the amount of pool money that he can get, and the Padres can offer, maybe a million or like 2 million more dollars. That makes him feel a little bit more comfortable. Maybe, he respects the Dodgers and loves everything that they're doing and they're trying to build, but maybe he really does value the friendship and the camaraderie with you, Darvish. Maybe we're underplaying that a little bit. I think you can say one location is your favorite or that's where I want to be, but due to a variety of factors, it may not always swing that way. And I think when you get it down to these two teams, I mean, it's 50-50, one or the other. Who are you going to choose? It's unique in this situation because it's entirely up to Sasaki. The ball is in his court. The money difference really isn't too big. I mean, the cities, I mean, it's not that big of a difference either. Both in California, both have really good weather, great stadiums, two competitive teams right now. Arguably, probably, I mean, you could say it. A lot of people are saying it's the best rivalry in baseball right now between these two. I mean, it's up to Sasaki at this point. I mean, it's really up to him, but everything we've heard, everything we're kind of feeling does seem like the fingers are pointing to the Dodgers, and it's kind of where I think everything's pushing to right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree. A, a very well trusted person said not done. So nothing is done yet. The situation is fluid. Anything can change. But if you handed me $1,000 right now and said you can either keep this or bet it on Roki Sasaki being a Dodger, I'm betting it on Roki Sasaki being a Dodger 100 times out of 100. Um, I I like their chances with where things stand at this very moment.
Yeah, and people have to keep in mind, he has until the 23rd. The signing period opens tomorrow morning, and he has until the 23rd. I mean, we saw, Hae-Sung Kim, he waited to the very last like hour of his posting date before he signed with the Dodgers out of nowhere. Uh, could we see a similar situation with Sasaki? Maybe he really does have to ponder the decision between joining the Dodgers or the Padres or the Blue Jays in the back of his mind. I mean, we'll have to see. I don't think it's going to be that long. I think it'll definitely be within. I think it's either tomorrow or the day after that. I think if it's a Saturday announcement, I'm going to be surprised, or like a Friday thing. I think it's either tomorrow or Thursday. That's just what my overall feeling is. I feel like we got so much information in such a short amount of time. Two like less than 48 hours ago, we had like 12 teams that were still involved, and then we got it right down to three teams, and one of the teams we're kind of not really considering at all because of the history they've had with other free agents out there. So, I mean, yeah, I know how you're feeling about everything right now. What else is there to talk about Sasaki tonight? Do you have any other statements that you want to talk about? The avenue is yours.
I mean, not really. Just that there's a lot of information out there and a lot of it's not true. At the end of the day, we're not truly going to know until pen is put to paper and someone says it. Um, but I I like the Dodgers' chances. Like was just said in the chat, the Dodgers are the best ran franchise in all of sports, probably. They are an appealing destination for Sasaki. They have everything he's looking for. Um, the I wanted to talk about the Buster Olney thing really quickly, with him posting on X that Sasaki. It was a hard to read tweet because he said that he could potentially be looking for a place where he is doesn't have to be the star essentially, but he also used the word small market and some other rhetoric that kind of doesn't really tell us anything. It basically said it's either the Dodgers or the Padres. But I think that is something to watch. Things are starting to come out, and if you want to feel comfortable and just do your job with limited expectations and put yourself in a place to succeed as Roki Sasaki, the Dodgers are absolutely the best choice.
Yeah, I think, our unbiased opinion is that the Dodgers are the best choice to pick. And I think there's a lot of factors to go into that we've talked about. The pitching development, definitely there. The location, that's definitely there for him as well. It's really just up to him at this point now. And I imagine we're going to get a decision maybe later tonight. We hear some reports of an agreement being reached, pen and paper tomorrow morning. Maybe it takes a couple more days for him to think it over. Like you said, nothing's really close at this point at all, where it's just him kind of gauging what that market is. I mean, we don't even know what time this meeting was taking place with the Dodgers. Theoretically, it could still be going on right now. Maybe they're having a ball out there on the West Coast in Los Angeles. So it's definitely going to be something we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. I mean, we have back-to-back episodes today. Maybe we go, triple episode week. If he signs tomorrow or if he signs later this week, we'll definitely be there with the live stream to break it all down for everybody. Anything else you want to talk about tonight, Jacob, or we good to close it out?
Not particularly, just excited to see how things develop.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting couple hours, 24, 48 hours. I imagine we're going to see a lot more information start to break out, especially I would say later tonight, especially after this meeting. Maybe we get some details about the meeting with Los Angeles and seeing how that goes. We start getting reports out of that and everything sounded good. I think we're going to have a really good shot that we're going to be discussing what I'll know what we're going to be discussing on our next episode. But for anybody that's new here, be sure to like and subscribe. It definitely helps us out. We reached 12,000 subscribers earlier this year. It'll definitely help us out with the algorithm and all that stuff there. So we got multiple live episodes coming out every week. We got multiple episodes coming out, breaking all the latest rumors, the latest news, predictions, opinions, Jacob sharing his insider information. And then we also have our Spanish version of the podcast. Got a couple interviews that are in the works with that. So be sure to subscribe and check out all of our content there. And then once the season starts, that's the other thing that was announced today, Jacob, is pitchers and catchers report soon, February 11th, full squad on the 15th. We're getting spring training games, I believe, on the 20th or 21st, somewhere along those lines. And then a month after that, they're playing those games in Japan and getting ready for the 2025 season. So we'll have pregame coverage of all those events. We'll definitely have in-game interviews to all that stuff, at post-game interviews as well. So be sure to subscribe and check us out, and we will see you on the next one.